who's written extensively on both Cruz and Rubio, and Richard Viguerie, who's been called one of the creators of the modern American conservative movement. Welcome to you both. So I want to go straight to you, Mr. Viguerie, because I believe Ted Cruz is your guy. Were you surprised, and do you think he can make it to New Hampshire and all across the country?
Absolutely. I've been saying for a long time, I think basically it's a two-person race, and that is the establishment candidate represented by Marco Rubio and the grassroots candidate, which is Ted Cruz. And it's a very unusual race. For as long as I've been alive, a long time, the establishment's always united behind one candidate, going back for 100 years. Now we see them split between Rubio and Bush and Christie and Kasich and Carly. And the conservatives are coming behind one candidate, Ted Cruz. So it's going to be a fascinating next couple of months here. And I think it's going to be a two-person race very quickly.
Let's move over to Anne-Louise Bardak. Were you surprised, and you've written a lot about Cruz and Rubio, that Trump lost and that Rubio did comparatively so well? Anne, can you hear me? Well, while we get her sound up.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, look, I just take closely my eyes while I wait.
Anne, can you hear Christiane Amanpour?
How much longer?
Can you hear?
Okay, I'm going to go to
oh,
back
hi,
to you. Anne, can you
what
hear
did
me?
You say?
Can you hear me, Anne?
Maybe make her a little louder for me.
Can you hear?
Okay. I'm going to go back to you, Richard Viguerie. So Donald Trump is already blaming the press. In one of his tweets, having given a sort of what some people thought was a humble speech, he said, "I will be talking about my wonderful experience in Iowa and the simultaneous unfair treatment by the media later in New Hampshire." Big crowd. I mean, what do you think about Donald Trump? Is he done or what, Richard?
I think he's on the way out. He's been kind of off to the side in a sense of attacks. Ted Cruz is the first person who's really gone after him and succeeded, and he's gone after him ideologically. Others like Rick Perry, former governor of Texas, and Jeb Bush attacked him because they thought he was kind of a nutcase or not serious, whatever. But Ted Cruz went after him ideologically. It's hard to identify a position that Trump has today. They didn't have an opposite position, basically a liberal position 5-10 years ago. So Cruz is coming after him ideologically, and it's going to be tough for him to stand up against that attack from Cruz, which is coming. And the grassroots conservatives are all united to come after Cruz and Rubio and as not conservatives.
You know, a lot of people, again, are looking at this upended presidential race, particularly the insurgents in the Republican race. So this is what Senator Rubio said just a few weeks ago, or last week or so, about what needs to happen if the Republicans are to win in November. Listen to what he said.
We cannot win if we are divided, if we are fighting against each other. And so we must bring not just the party, but the conservative movement back together, and I will. No one running for president can bring the conservative movement and the Republican Party together faster or better than I can.
Richard Viguerie, can Rubio unite the Republican Party, and don't you need to be united in order to win?
Oh, absolutely, Christiana. Rubio is correct in the sense that the Republican Party must be united. That's the number one thing they have to do above everything else. They have to go into the election united. And they've not been united for maybe 25 years. They weren't united under Bob Dole, under McCain, Romney, etc. But they can be united this time. But Rubio cannot do it. He can't bring on the anti-illegal immigration people, the libertarians. There are 6 main voting blocs that make up the Republican base. Reagan's 3, which is national security, cultural issues, and economic issues. Then we've added the Tea Party, and now there's also the liberty movement, the libertarians. Ted Cruz checks all 5 of those boxes, and like Reagan, with his vice presidential choice, he can unite the party and go on to win in November. Rubio can't do that. He can't bring the party together like Ted Cruz
You say that, but, you know, there were many Republicans who were terrified. I mean, before Iowa, we were even hearing that Trump would be better than Cruz. They say Cruz is very disliked. He obviously also, your party has a bit of a problem when it comes to the candidates, when it comes to appealing to a major voting bloc, whether they be Hispanics, whether they be gays, whether they be, in some instances, women. I mean, how can he get all those on board in order to do as you say?
Well, the Democrats have more problems. You know, you've got the Democratic Party moving hard left. I mean, Bernie Sanders, the socialist, is pulling Hillary to the left now. And what we're looking at, Christiana, is a first ideological campaign in this country for president since the 1980s. And it's going to be a conservative running against a liberal. And I think on those type of situations, America is a right-of-center country, and that favors the Republicans. And this is going to be, let me just say one other quick thing, and that is this election is going to be fought on something that's going to surprise the mainstream media right now. It's going to be a religious liberty election as much as anything, and Ted Cruz has demonstrated that last night. The religious liberty vote is huge, and it's going to be a big factor in this election.
Mr. Viguerie, you're right that in Iowa it was huge, but many question whether it'll be huge going around the country. I want to ask you, though, because you said it'll be a conservative versus a liberal. As you know, Hillary Clinton has been awarded the Iowa caucus, and this is what she said tonight about her pragmatic record. Just listen, Mr. Viguerie.
I'm talking about my record. I'm talking about the Children's Health Insurance Program for 8 million kids. I'm talking about getting health care for National Guard members. I'm talking about helping to push through a treaty to lower nuclear weapons between us and the Russians. When I was Secretary of State, I'm talking about building the coalition against Iran to bring them to the negotiating table, and so many other issues. I have a very long record of getting results for people. That's what I care about.
Well, we have Anne-Louise Bardack back, but first I want to ask you, Mr. Viguerie, before I turn to her, do the Republicans want to see Hillary as the candidate or Bernie?
Oh, absolutely. Well, either one of them, quite frankly. Both of them are so far out of the mainstream, we'd like to run against either one of them. It doesn't matter. But national security is going to be a big issue, and that's one reason Republicans have an advantage in the election. We'll be able to appeal to minorities such as Hispanics on national security, which moves the dial our favor.
All right, Mr. Viguerie, thank you. Stand by for